The night was cold. The sky was broken, full of ash and strange lights. Two alien girls walked across a dead land. They had no home, no clothes, no food. Only fear, only pain. Only the memory of a world that no longer existed. Their feet touched the sharp ground, but they did not stop. They had been walking for hours, maybe 4 days. Time had no meaning anymore. The taller girl with silver eyes whispered, "Do you think someone is alive?" The smaller one shook her head. "No one. We are the last." Silence followed. The land around them was silent too. No birds, no rivers, no sound of life. Only the wind, moving through the ruins like a ghost. Their world had been destroyed by day. Their world had been destroyed by raiders' machines and soldiers who burned everything. The girls escaped, but they lost their family, their people, their hope. The taller girl looked at the stars. They were dim, covered by dust. Once, those stars gave them dreams. Now, they only reminded them of what was lost. Why live if nothing is left? She said softly. The smaller one grabbed her hand. "Because maybe someone will help us." But her voice was weak, without real belief. Both knew the truth. No one was coming. They walked until their legs could not carry them. Their skin was cold, their stomachs empty. They sat near a broken wall, the last piece of a village. The taller girl closed her eyes, but her ears stayed open. She had learned never to rest fully. Night was dangerous. Night was when the hunters came suddenly, a sound, not wind, not ruins falling, but footsteps. Slow, heavy human footsteps. The girls froze. Their hearts beat fast. Fear ran through them. Humans were dangerous. They had always heard stories. Humans conquer. Humans take. Humans never give. If a human found them, it would mean chains, or worse. The smaller girl whispered, "Hide." But there was no place to hide. The wall was broken. The land was empty. They could only wait. The footsteps came closer, closer. A shadow appeared in the dust. The shape of a man. Tall, strong, carrying something in his hands. His face was rough. But his eyes were strange. Not cruel, not empty, but tired, almost sad. The girls pressed against the wall, shaking. The man stopped. He looked at them. For a moment, no one moved. Time seemed frozen. Then the man spoke. His voice was calm, low, like someone who had seen too much. "You too," he said. "Both of you. Come home." The girls stared at him. They did not understand. What did home mean? They had no home. Their planet was ashes. Their family gone. Was this a trick? The taller girl hissed, "Stay away." Her silver eyes burned with fear. The man did not step forward. He did not raise his weapon. He simply lowered it to the ground, showing his empty hands. "I will not hurt you," he said. "I swear. You look cold. You look hungry. Come with me, please." The smaller girl's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to believe him. The way he spoke, it was different. Not like the raiders, not like the soldiers. His words carried warmth. Something she had almost forgotten, kindness. But the taller girl pulled her back. "It's a trap. Humans lie, humans destroy." The man did not argue. He only said, "If you stay here, the night hunters will come. They smell weakness. They smell fear. My home is safe. Fire, food, water. You can rest. You don't trust me, you can leave in the morning. But tonight, you must choose." The wind grew stronger. In the distance, a strange howl echoed, a sound that was not human. The girls knew that sound. Hunters, creatures who fed on the lost. Their bodies shook with terror. The man stepped back, giving them space. He pointed to the faint light behind him, a glow in the darkness, a house, real walls, a fire inside. Shelter. The smaller girl grabbed the taller one's hand. Please, let's go. I can't die here. Not like this. The taller girl's eyes filled with conflict. She wanted to run, to stay free, to never trust a human. But the hunter's howls grew louder, closer. Her chest rose and fell quickly. The man's voice broke the silence once more. Both of you, come home, or you will not see another dawn. For a moment, the world stopped. Two choices: trust a human or face the night. The smaller girl took one step forward. The taller one stayed frozen, heart torn between fear and hope. The hunters screamed. Again, nearer now. The man's door glowed like a star in the broken land, and the story of survival, of trust, of humanity, began right there. The night was dark, and the house glowed faintly like a lantern in the middle of shadows. The two alien girls stood frozen at the door. The taller girl's heart pounded. She did not trust this man. She had seen humans before humans, who burned villages, humans who killed without mercy. Inside the house, warmth flickered. A small fire burned. The smell of cooked food drifted out into the cold. For the first time in days, the girls smelled life. But to step inside meant trust. And trust was dangerous. The man held the door open. His rough face showed no smile, no threat, only tired patience. "You are safe here," he said again. His voice was heavy, like someone who had carried pain for many years. The smaller girl stepped forward. Her eyes shone with hunger. She had no strength left to argue. "Please," she whispered, almost to herself. But the taller girl grabbed her arm. "No," she hissed. "It is a trick. He will lock us. He will sell us." The man heard, but he did not answer. Instead, he placed something on the ground near the doorway, a loaf of bread wrapped in cloth. Then he stepped back, keeping distance. The smell hit the girls instantly. Warm, soft, real food. Their mouths watered, their stomachs cried. The smaller one bent to grab it, but the taller girl pulled her back. "It could be poison." The man shook his head slowly. "Eat. If you are afraid, watch me." He broke a piece of the bread and placed it in his mouth. He chewed, swallowed, and waited. Oh, nothing happened. Only the crackle of the fire filled the silence. The smaller girl looked at her sister with pleading eyes. At last, the taller one allowed her to taste. The bread was rough, but soft inside and warm. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She had forgotten what real food felt like. They entered slowly, steps trembling. The man closed the door behind them, but not with force. He barred it gently, like someone used to danger outside. The room smelled of firewood, old books, and cooked stew. The alien girls stood by the door, too afraid to sit. Their eyes moved quickly, scanning corners, windows, possible traps. The man did not command them. He sat near the fire and poured soup into 2 bowls. "You can eat," he said, placing the bowls on the table. "Then leave if you wish." The smaller girl sat quickly, hands shaking. The taller one still stood, watching him with sharp eyes. As the younger ate, warmth spread across her face. It felt unreal. For a moment, she forgot the fear, forgot the hunters outside. But the taller girl whispered harshly, "Don't trust. He'll show kindness, then strike." The man finally spoke again, looking only at the fire. "I know why you fear. I have seen what men do, but I am not them." His voice broke slightly, softer now. "I lost my family too. War took them from me. I know what it means to have no home." The taller girl's lips pressed tight. His words touched something inside her, but she forced it away. Trust was a weapon, and she would not be weak. Still, when he placed an old blanket on the floor near the fire, she hesitated. The room was warm, safer than the ruins outside. Her silver eyes stayed on him, but her body betrayed her. She stepped closer to the fire. The younger girl curled under the blanket, already drifting to sleep. For the first time since their world ended, she dreamed of warmth, not ash. But the taller girl could not rest. Her mind raced. Why help us? Why risk himself? Humans never give without reason. Her thoughts broke when a sound scratched at the walls. A faint, eerie scrape, like claws on wood. Her blood turned cold. The man stood quickly, grabbing an old rifle from the corner. "Stay quiet," he whispered. His eyes hardened, his body alert. The taller girl's heart stopped. The younger stirred. Half asleep, but the older one pulled her close. "What is it?" she whispered. The man moved to the window. His face was shadowed, but his voice was grim. "Night hunters. They followed you." The girls froze. Night hunters, the monsters that hunted the weak, feeding on fear and flesh. They had seen what those creatures did. Bones left scattered, villages torn apart. The scratching grew louder. A low growl echoed outside. The younger girl whimpered, but the taller pressed her mouth gently. "Don't make a sound," she whispered. The man loaded his weapon. The click was sharp in the silence. He looked at them once. "Do not move, no matter what happens." The taller girl's breath shook. She had feared the human, but now, in this moment, she feared something far worse outside. The scratching turned into pounding. The door shook. A voice, low and cruel, hissed through the cracks. "Give them to us." The taller girl's blood ran cold. Her hand squeezed her sister's tightly. The man raised his rifle, his jaw clenched. The firelight danced across his face. Half shadow, half steel. And in that burning silence, the girls realized the real danger was not the man at all. It was what waited outside. The door shook again. The hunters outside scraped and hissed, their voices like broken glass. The taller alien girl pressed her sister close. She had no weapon, no plan. Only fear. The human stood firm with his old rifle. His eyes stayed locked. On the door. The firelight burned behind him, throwing shadows across the room. For a long moment, no one breathed. The scratching slowed. A growl rumbled in the dark. Then silence. The man whispered, "They will circle the house. They test the walls, the windows. They want you." The smaller girl trembled, clutching the blanket. Her lips formed silent words. "Why us?" The man answered without being asked, his voice heavy. "Because you are weak. Because they smell fear. But fear can be beaten. Fire keeps them away. For tonight, you are safe." He tossed more wood into the fire. Sparks rose and warmth filled the room again. The shadows of the hunters slipped away, hiding from the flame. The taller girl's eyes narrowed. Safe. She did not believe it. Safety was an illusion. Still, the heat reached her bones. Her muscles, stiff from cold nights, slowly loosened. Against her will, her body leaned closer to the fire. The man noticed. He said nothing. Instead, he sat back on the floor, his rifle resting across his knees. He watched the flames, his face calm but distant. As if lost in old memories, the girls stayed quiet, studying him. The house itself was strange. Wooden walls, shelves of books, pictures on the wall. The aliens had never seen such things. Their world had been simple. Stone villages, open skies. Here, everything was different. Heavy, human. The smaller girl pointed at one picture. It showed the man with a woman and a little boy. All three smiled. Their eyes shone with happiness. The smaller girl whispered, "Your family." The man's jaw tightened. He gave a short nod. Once silence fell. The fire cracked. The taller girl felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. She wondered what happened to them, but she did not ask. She already knew. War, loss. The same pain she carried. The man finally looked at them. "You should rest. The hunters won't break through tonight. But tomorrow, we must be careful." The smaller girl lay down at once, curling under the blanket, eyes already heavy. For her, the fire's warmth was enough. For the taller girl, it was not. She stayed awake, silver eyes glowing in the dark. Hours passed. The man did not move. He sat with his rifle, watching, listening. He was a wall between them and the night. At last, the taller girl spoke, her voice low, sharp. "Why do this? Why risk your life for us?" The man did not answer at first. He breathed slowly, staring into the fire. Then he said, "Because someone once saved me, when I was weak, when I had nothing. If he had not helped me, I would not be alive. So now, I do the same." His words cut into her heart. They sounded true, too true. She wanted to believe him, but belief was dangerous. She turned away, her eyes burning. Humans are liars. The man did not argue. He only whispered, "Maybe, but not all." The taller girl wrapped her arms around her knees, fighting sleep. The warmth of the fire tried to pull her in, but her mind kept warning her. Stay awake. Watch him, do not trust. But exhaustion was stronger than fear. Her eyelids grew heavy. Her body gave up the fight. For the first time since her world burned, she slept. Hours later, a faint sound woke her. Not scratching, not howling, but whispering, her. Eyes snapped open. The fire was still burning, but low. The man sat in the same place, his rifle across his lap. He was awake, but his lips were moving, speaking quietly to himself. The taller girl strained to listen. His words were soft, almost broken. "Forgive me. I couldn't save you, but maybe I can save them." Her chest tightened. He was not talking to them. He was talking to the family in the picture. For a moment, her hatred wavered. This man was not a soldier, not a raider. He was broken, like her. She closed her eyes again, pretending to sleep. But in her heart, something changed. A small crack in the wall of mistrust. Dawn came. The firelight faded into pale sunlight. The smaller girl yawned, rubbing her eyes. For the first time, she did not feel hunger gnawing her stomach. She felt alive. The man stood and opened the door a crack. Outside, footprints circled the house. Clawed, twisted shapes marked the soil. The hunters had been there all night. He closed the door quickly. His face was hard. They will return, tonight and every night, until they get what they want. The girls froze. "What do they want?" The smaller one whispered. His answer was simple. "You, the taller girls." Blood turned to ice. But before she could speak, a deep sound cut through the morning air. A voice carried by a radio on the table. Static crackled, then words, "Attention! Soldiers approaching Sector 9. Searching for 2 alien females. Capture alive." The taller girl's heart slammed in her chest. Soldiers. Humans. The man turned to them, rifle in hand. His voice was steady, but his eyes were sharp. "You are not safe here anymore." The fire's warmth suddenly felt far away. The morning light had barely touched the land when the radio crackled again. The man turned the knob, lowering the sound, but the message was clear. Soldiers were coming. The taller alien girl's silver eyes sharpened with fear. "I told you," she hissed. "Humans cannot be trusted. They are hunting us." The smaller girl's voice shook. But he fed us. He gave us warmth. Why warn us if he wanted us caught? The man said nothing for a long moment. His hand rested on the rifle, his jaw tight. Finally, he spoke, his voice low and steady. Because not all humans follow orders. Some fight back. The taller girl glared. Fight for us. Why? He didn't answer. Instead, he moved to the window. Outside, the land was quiet, but the silence was false. Even the wind seemed to hide. The smaller girl whispered, "What do we do?" The man's eyes scanned the horizon. "We prepare. Hunters by night, soldiers by day. Both want you dead or captured. You cannot run forever. You must decide where you stand." The taller girl's chest tightened. Decide she wanted only to survive. Trust no one, follow no one. But something in his voice made her pause. The day passed in uneasy silence. The man repaired the door, checked the windows, and stacked more firewood. The girls helped, though clumsy with human tools. Every sound outside made them jump. Every shadow looked like a soldier or a hunter waiting to strike. By evening, a heavy mist rolled across the land. The man lit the fire again, its glow painting the walls with flickering gold. The smaller girl curled near it, but the taller one stayed by the door, listening. Her sharp ears caught it first. A howl, far away, but growing closer. Then another. Then three, blending into a chorus of hunger. The man's face hardened. They come. The scratching began soon after, nails across wood. The house trembled under the weight of unseen bodies pressing against it. The air grew thick with their smell rot, blood, death. The smaller girl whimpered, burying her face. The taller girl gritted her teeth. She had faced these creatures before, in the ruins of her home. She knew what they did to the weak. The man loaded his rifle with slow, careful hands. "Stay low, don't move." The scratching grew louder, faster, like claws tearing at the walls. Then came the voice. Deep, hollow, filled with cruelty. "Give them to us, or we take them." The smaller girl froze. The taller one's stomach twisted. That voice was not only a hunter's. It was something worse, something that remembered them. Her mind flashed to the night. Her village burned. Soldiers had come first, but the hunters followed, tearing through survivors. She remembered those same words, whispered in the dark. The door shook hard. Dust fell from the ceiling. The man raised his rifle and fired. The blast thundered through the house, shaking the walls. A scream echoed outside high, inhuman. The scratching stopped for a heartbeat, then chaos. Claws slammed against windows. Shadows leaped onto the roof. The house shook as if a storm had landed on it. The fire roared, sparks flying. The smaller girl cried out, but the taller one dragged her behind the table. Her silver eyes burned as she watched the man fire again and again, his hands steady, his face set like stone. For the first time, she saw no cruelty in a human's eyes. Only defiance. Only someone who refused to bow. But the creatures were many. Too many. Their voices swirled outside the house, whispering, laughing, promising death. One smashed through a window. Its body was twisted, its mouth full of jagged teeth. It lunged straight for the girls. The taller girl screamed. The man moved faster than thought. His rifle cracked, and the creature fell inches from them, its blood steaming on the floor. The man's voice thundered. "Stay behind me." He reloaded, fired, reloaded again. Each shot was precise, each one a wall between life and death. But sweat rolled down his face. His body trembled with the weight of battle. The taller girl's chest burned. He was fighting. For them, a human. Fighting for alien girls he barely knew. Something cracked inside her heart. A wall she had built for survival. Now, for the first time, she wondered, maybe, just maybe, not all humans are the same. But before the thought could grow, the door exploded. A massive figure entered, taller than any man, its skin black and armored, its eyes glowing with hunger. The hunter's leader. The firelight shone on its teeth as it grinned. You cannot protect them, human. They are ours. The man raised his rifle, but the beast was faster. It struck, claws raking across his arm. He staggered, blood dripping. Down the taller girl's heart stopped. He had fallen. The hunters howled in victory. The smaller girl screamed, clutching her sister. The taller one's eyes filled with fire. For the first time, she stepped forward. The hunter's leader stood tall in the broken doorway, its glowing eyes fixed on the alien girls. The fire hissed as sparks filled the room. The human lay on the floor, bleeding from his arm, his rifle bent from the beast's strike. The taller girl faced the monster, her silver eyes burning. Her body shook with fear, but she did not move aside. For the first time, she chose to fight, not run. The monster tilted its head, amused. So the prey learns to bare its teeth, it hissed. Its voice echoed, heavy and cruel. Behind her, the smaller girl clung to her hand. "Sister, no," she whispered. "We cannot win." But the taller girl did not move. She raised a broken piece of wood from the floor, holding it like a spear. Her voice trembled, yet carried strength. "He fought for us. Now I fight for him." The creature lunged, claws slicing the air. The taller girl thrust the wood forward. It struck the beast's shoulder, not deep enough to kill, but enough to make it snarl in pain. In that instant, the man, bleeding but conscious, pulled himself up. With his good arm, he aimed his rifle one last time. The shot boomed, echoing through the house. The bullet pierced the monster's chest, throwing it back into the night. The other hunters howled and scattered, vanishing into the mist. The house shook, then fell silent. Only the crackle of fire remained. The taller girl dropped the wood, her hands trembling. She turned to the man. His face was pale, his arm bleeding badly. He collapsed back to the floor, his chest rising and falling slowly. The smaller girl cried out, rushing to him. "He's dying." The taller girl's chest burned. She had said humans could never be trusted. She had told her sister to stay away. But this man had bled for them. He had stood against monsters no one else dared face, and now he might die because of them. For a moment, her fear returned. "Leave him," she whispered. "If we stay, we will be hunted again. If he dies, he dies." The smaller girl's eyes filled with tears. "No, we cannot abandon him. He saved us." The two sisters clashed. The younger pulled at the man's body, trying to stop the bleeding with her small hands. The elder pulled her back. "He is not one of us. We survive alone." But the younger girl screamed, her voice breaking. "We survive together. You taught me that when we lost our family. If you leave him, then you are no better than the monsters outside." The taller girl froze. Her sister's words cut deeper. Then claws. She looked at the man's face, pale-broken, but alive. His lips moved faintly, whispering something she barely heard. "Don't be afraid." Her heart cracked. She dropped to her knees beside him, her silver eyes wet for the first time since the war. Her hands pressed against his wound. Voice shook. "Sister, help me." Together, the two girls worked clumsily. They tore cloth into strips, pressing them against his arm. They did not know human medicine, but they tried. They did not sleep. They did not run. They fought for his life as he had fought for theirs. Hours passed. The fire burned low. The man's breathing stayed weak, but steady. The taller girl sat. Beside him, her hands stained with his blood. Her sister leaned against her shoulder, exhausted. "You see?" She whispered softly, "Not all humans are cruel." The taller girl did not answer. But in her heart, something had changed. The wall she built to survive the hatred she carried for humans, it cracked further. She had seen one fight, not to destroy, but to protect. When dawn came, the man stirred. His eyes opened, tired but alive. He looked at the girls, both leaning against him. His lips curved into the faintest smile. "You stayed," he whispered. The taller girl looked away, hiding her face. "Don't speak. You need rest." But the smaller girl smiled through tears. "We stayed because you stayed for us." The man's hand trembled as he reached for the rifle still by his side. His eyes hardened again. The hunters will return. And worse, the soldiers will be here soon. The taller girl's heart clenched. She had just learned to trust him, but already knew danger was rising. As if to answer, the radio crackled once more. Static filled the room. Then a harsh voice spoke. "Sector secured. Sweep every house. Find the alien girls alive." The taller girl's eyes went wide. She looked at the man, fear surging again. "What will you do when they come?" she asked. His eyes met hers, calm and unbroken. "The same thing I did last night." Her breath caught. "Fight. For us?" The man nodded. "Until my last breath." The fire burned again, stronger than before. And for the first time, the taller girl believed. Him, the fire inside the house had burned low, but outside, the sound of engines grew louder. Soldiers were coming. Their boots would crush the earth. Their voices would command. Their weapons would end everything. The human sat near the window, his arm bandaged in rough cloth. Pain lined his face, but his eyes burned sharp. The alien. Girls stayed close, listening to the smaller girl whispered, "Maybe we should run." The taller girl shook her head. "They will find us. There is nowhere to hide." The man finally spoke. His voice was quiet, but each word was strong. "Running buys only hours. Standing may buy a future." The taller girl frowned. "A future. For us, humans don't give us futures. They erase them." The man looked at her with steady eyes. "Then make your own choice. Do you want to keep running until you can't? Or do you want to fight for one chance to live free?" His words struck her harder than any weapon. Soon, the sound of trucks stopped outside. Boots hit the ground. Voices shouted orders. The house trembled with the weight of armed men surrounding it. The radio crackled again. "Unit 7, hold position. 2 alien females confirmed nearby. Capture alive. Kill the human if he resists." The girls froze. Their worst fear was real. The man turned to them. "Go into the cellar. Hide. I will buy you time." The smaller girl's eyes filled with tears. "No, they'll kill you." The man gave a small, tired smile. "I faced death before, but you are not meant to die yet. You are meant to live." The taller girl's chest ached. For so long, she had told herself humans were liars, monsters, destroyers. Yet here was one ready to bleed again for them. Still, her fear twisted inside. If they trusted him, and he failed, would mean capture. Chains, no hope. The smaller girl begged, "Please, let's trust him." But the taller one grabbed her hand. "No, we cannot leave him." "Not again." The man blinked, surprised. The taller girl's silver eyes glowed in the firelight. Her voice shook, but carried iron. "If you fight, then we fight too." Silence filled the room. For a moment, even the distant voices of soldiers seemed far away. The man studied them, seeing not helpless children, but something stronger, survivors. Finally, he nodded. Then listen. Hope is a choice. Tonight, we choose it. The pounding began. Fists against the door. Voices barked. Open. By order. Of command, the man whispered, "Stay behind me, no matter what." The door burst open. Soldiers stormed inside, weapons raised. Their helmets gleamed, their eyes cold. The leader pointed at the girls. "There they are. Take them." The humans stepped forward, rifle in hand. "They stay here." The soldiers laughed. "You think one man can stop us?" The man's voice thundered. "I've stopped worse." The first soldier moved. The rifle cracked. He fell. Chaos exploded. The girls screamed, ducking behind the table as bullets tore through the walls. The fire roared, sparks flying high. The smaller girl clung to her sister, but the taller one's fear twisted into something else in gear. She remembered her burned home, the raiders, the hunters. And now soldiers, hunting them again. Her voice rang out. "We are not prey." In that instant, she grabbed a fallen soldier's weapon. It was heavy, strange in her hands, but she aimed. At the window where another soldier entered, she pulled the trigger. The blast shook her arms, but the soldier fell. The man glanced at her, shock flashing in his eyes, then pride. "You see?" He shouted over the gunfire. "You are stronger than you believe." The smaller girl trembled, but she too picked up a shard of broken glass, standing ready. For the first time, both sisters stood not as refugees, but as fighters. The battle raged. The house filled with smoke, fire, and echoes of war. The man fought with fierce skill, each shot steady, each step defiant. The taller girl covered his side, clumsy but brave. The smaller one defended her sister, eyes wide but unyielding. The soldiers began to fall back, unprepared for resistance. This strong, but the leader remained. His voice thundered. "Do you think you can win? You are nothing. 2 alien strays and a broken man." The man bled, the girls shook, but none stepped back. The taller girl shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We may be nothing to you, but to each other, we are everything." The fire blazed, painting the room with fierce light. The soldiers hesitated. The man raised his rifle one last time. "If you want them, you'll have to kill me first." Leader growled, but before he could act, another voice came through the radio sharp, commanding, "Unit 7, retreat." Higher orders, leave them. Confusion filled the soldiers' faces. The leader cursed, but obeyed. One by one, they pulled back into the mist. Engines roared. The house shook as the trucks left, then silence. The fire burned low again. The girls collapsed against each other, shaking. The man leaned against the wall, his breath heavy, blood dripping. The smaller girl whispered, We survived." The taller one stared at the man. Her voice was soft, almost broken. "No, we lived. Because he gave us hope." The man smiled. Faintly, though his face was pale. "Not me. You chose it yourselves." His rifle slipped from his hands. His body slumped. The girls gasped, rushing to him. His eyes fluttered, then closed. For the first time, both sisters screamed his name. The fire burned low. The smoke of battle still hung in the air. The floor was covered with broken wood, shattered glass, and blood. The man lay against the wall, his face pale, his breathing shallow. His rifle rested beside him, empty. The 2 alien girls knelt close. The smaller one pressed her hands against his wound, tears streaming down her face. "Please, stay. Don't leave us. You can't leave us." The taller girl gritted her teeth. She had spent her life telling herself humans were monsters. She had hated them, feared them, cursed them. But this one had fought until his body gave out. For them, for two strangers with nothing, her silver eyes filled with a fire she had never known. "You are not allowed to die," she whispered fiercely. "Not after everything." The man opened his eyes weakly. His lips curled into a faint smile. "I told you, until my last breath. Maybe this is it." The smaller girl sobbed. The taller one shook her head violently. "No, not today. You gave us hope. Now we give it back." Outside, the land was quiet. The soldiers were gone. The hunters had vanished into the mist. For the first time in many nights, silence was not full of danger, was full of waiting. But the girls knew it would not last. More soldiers would come. The hunters would return. Unless they did something now, this small fire of safety would burn out forever. The taller girl stood, her chest rising and falling with determination. "We cannot run anymore. We cannot hide. We must choose a home. Here, with him." The smaller girl looked up at her, fear in her eyes. "But what if they come again?" The taller girl's voice grew strong. "Then we fight, not as prey, not as victims, but as family." The word hung in the air. Family, a word they thought lost forever. The man's eyes opened again, weak but alive. His voice was little more than a whisper. "Family." He let out a soft laugh, half pain, half joy then. "I am not alone anymore." The smaller girl pressed her forehead against his shoulder. Never alone. The day passed slowly. The girls worked together, carrying water, gathering scraps, fixing the broken door. Their movements were clumsy, but their hearts were steady. They were no longer two lost children wandering ruins. They were protectors now. At dusk, the sound of an engine returned. The girls froze, hearts pounding. Another truck. More soldiers. The taller girl grabbed the weapon she had taken. The smaller girl stood beside her, holding a broken spear. Together, they faced the door, ready to fight. The engine stopped. Boots hit the ground. But instead of soldiers, a single figure stepped into view. A woman. Her clothes were torn, her eyes tired, but she carried no weapon. Behind her, more figures appeared. Families, survivors. Children, the taller girl's breath caught. Survivors, not soldiers, not hunters. People like them lost, broken, but alive. The woman spoke with a trembling voice. "We saw the fire. We heard the shots. Are you safe here?" The man stirred, lifting his head weakly. His voice carried, though soft. "This is a safe place. If you make it so." The survivors entered slowly, eyes wide at the sight of the ruined house, the fire. The alien girls standing guard. Some gasped at the girls, others whispered in fear. The taller girl's silver eyes met theirs. For once, she did not look away. She raised her chin and said clearly, "We are not enemies. We are not prey. We are home." Her words echoed through the broken house. The survivors fell silent. Then, one by one, they lowered their heads in respect. The smaller girl smiled, tears glistening. For the first time, she felt not like a burden, but like part of something greater. Night fell. The fire burned bright, bigger than before. The survivors sat close, sharing food, sharing stories. Children laughed softly. Life returned in small, fragile pieces. The man rested near the fire, his arm wrapped in fresh bandages. He watched the girls, pride in his tired eyes. The taller girl sat beside him. "You were right," she said quietly. "Hope is a choice. Tonight, we chose it. Together." The man's lips curved into a faint smile. "Then tonight, you are home." The smaller Girl leaned against him, her voice soft but full of peace. Home. For the first time since their world was destroyed, the alien sisters felt warmth not just in their bodies, but in their hearts. They had no planet, no clothes, no hope, till one human said, "Both of you, come home." Now that home was real, and no one would ever take it away again.